guys, welcome back to Mercy Makes. I'm so excited to be here. Today we are going to be focusing on Cammy from Street Fighter. She is so friggin' cool. I absolutely loved playing her in Street Fighter back in the day. It was one of the very first video games I think I played with my brothers, and I would just button mash and go crazy and beat them and they'd be so angry. It was great fun, and I always thought Cammy was so beautiful, so cool. So I'm absolutely over the moon to be able to cosplay her and make her outfit today. All right, let's jump in. Let's make Cammy. I'm so excited.
To make Cammy's famous leotard, you'll need some green stretchy spandex fabric, a sewing machine, or you can hand stitch, scissors, pins, some elastic for the arm holes and leg holes to make sure they fit you beautifully, thread, and a long dress zip to help you get in and out of this sexy creation. To make the leotard pattern, I used one from my local fabric store. I'll link a leotard pattern in the description down below. Once you have the front and the back pattern pieces, you'll need to pin them to fabric and cut out. Next, you need to pin and sew up the 2 shoulder seams and sew up the 2 side seams. Quick fit check, and now it's time to do the neckband. Take the neckband piece, fold it in half, pin it, and sew it to the neckline. Looking good! Now it's time to attach the stretch elastic to the arm and leg holes. This will help you to pull in the fabric slightly so that the leotard won't gape in those areas. Sew it in using a zigzag stitch. Also sew up the gusset with, you guessed it, zigzag as well. Time to attach the zip to the back. Start by pinning the zip to each side of the zip opening. You want the zip to be pinned so that when it zips up, it folds inwards like a book. To make your life so much easier, I would recommend using a zipper foot to sew in the zip. Once it's installed, you can get very close to the zipper teeth to sew it in. The closer your sewing line is to the zipper teeth, the more professional your zip will look. Also, if you do have trouble reading clothing patterns, I will be bringing out a video to explain them in more detail, so be on the lookout for that video soon. Nice work! You've just finished your leotard. Let's go! To make the red gloves, start by outlining your hand on a piece of paper. Add some seam allowance to your pattern and cut off the tips of the fingers. Then double over the fabric, pin it, and cut out your glove fabric. Then sew quite close to the edge of the fabric, or even hand sew the pieces of fabric together. Looks a bit janky, but it'll do the trick. Quick fit check, and they look awesome. Very happy with them. Next, we're going to make the back armor parts of her gloves. I'm using a thin 2mm EVA foam, which I can build upon, but will also remain pretty flexible so I can mold it to my hand much easier. Take a rectangle and test the size against your hand, then cut it into the desired shape. Then cut another layer of the smaller foam to build the shape of Cammy's glove armor. Next, you'll need to trace out 3 small circles of foam for each glove. I used a thread spool to trace around, but you can use anything. Cut out and test they all fit and look nice. If not, just readjust the sizes until you get it right. Next, it's time to use contact glue to attach all the pieces together. Contact glue is an amazing glue to use for EVA crafting. Once you put it on, let it get tacky, nearly dry, and then put the other layer of foam on. It attaches so much better and stronger, and it is pretty much instantly glued. Next, trace out the front panel of the glove armor and pen outline where the 3 cutout lines will be. Then trace out the holes with an X-Acto knife and glue it on top. I think that looks pretty good. Onto the arm braces or gauntlets or whatever you want to call them next. To make the pattern fit your arm, we're going to use an age-old cosplay method: cling wrap and tape. And yep, you guessed right, wrap it around your forearm and then wrap it around again with tape. Use a marker to draw out the design lines of the gauntlet, and once happy with it, cut a straight line through where there aren't any important design lines. Be extremely careful not to cut yourself though, and just go nice and slow. Then you can trace out the whole shape onto EVA foam. I used a 2mm EVA foam as I'll be able to bend it and mold it more easily around my arm. Then I started to glue the longer panels onto each side of the gauntlet, then use the tape to keep the gauntlet in a circular shape while I use the heat gun to help it mold permanently into that position. I wanted the panels on the side to be really thick, so I cut out a lot more panels and kept gluing them until I got to a height I was happy with. I then traced out the middle center panel in thicker EVA foam, as it doesn't have to bend as much, and glued the thin strips to it. I then glue it to the center part and use the heat gun to continue to mold it all together. Let's do a quick fit check time. It's looking pretty good! Next up, I use PVA glue to prime the outside of the entire gauntlet. This helps to seal the foam so you get a much nicer paint finish. Here you can see just how many layers I used to build up the shape. Now it's time to cut off any excess you might have, and let's use some moldable foam clay to seal off the ends and smooth it out and make it really nice. This stuff is amazing. It feels like Play-Doh, but once it dries, it becomes firm, just like the other foam. It even came with some shaping tools to help me smooth it out. Here you can see how much better the edges look after using this clay foam. If you can afford this clay, I would highly recommend it. And here's a side-by-side before and after. Let's do a fun try on of the gloves and gauntlets to see how they're looking. I also primed the glove armor with PVA glue. This glue I'm using is a Schoolcraft glue, which is okay, but in future I think I'll use Plasti Dip spray, which seals it even better and helps give the paint an even better finish. Looking pretty good! Now we get to paint these bad boys. Let's go. Before we paint, we've got to make sure that we are looking after ourselves. So I recommend wearing a mask and also putting down some cardboard to protect the floor. I picked up this nice cherry red paint from my local hardware store, which I visit so much more now that I'm into cosplays. Who knew? Now the fun part, spraying them. Let's go. Look at it go. Oh, I love watching this part. First coat done. Look, so shiny, but it will need a few more coats to get it looking just right. So a very good friend gifted me a hat like Cammy, so we just need to make the emblem. First things first, trace out the triangle shape on the foam and cut it out. Next, draw out the eagle symbol within the triangle shape on a piece of paper and cut out. Check it looks good and then cut it out onto foam. Next, it's time to seal the foam with some more PVA glue, and now it's time to paint. Then I cut the shield shape out and placed some masking tape over the top and coloured in the red squares. I found this a lot easier than painting it as it was so small. Once it's all glued, I got some wire, bent it into shape and secured it on the back of the badge with some more EVA foam clay. And now it's time for the full reveal!
And there you have it, guys. I hope you enjoyed my making of the beautiful, powerful, strong Cammy cosplay. She's absolutely so freaking cool. I had so much fun cosplaying her and trying to replicate her poses, which is so hard. I tried my best. But if you do have any questions about how I constructed the cosplay, or if you have any other sewing or crafting questions in general, feel free to put them in the comments down below. I'd love to hear from you guys. Also, if you did have any other suggestions on cosplays you do want to see personally, again, put them down there. Really looking forward to seeing you on the next one. Thank you so much for joining. Like and subscribe, all that jazz, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.